Good morning, everybody. Happy vernal equinox, happy longest day of the year, and happy first day of Cancer season. I'm going to just touch a little bit on what all of this means. We'll start first by addressing the equinox. So this is just like a calendar marker for us it's kind of like New Year's, or if you are tuned into the cosmos, if it's like when Mercury goes retrograde. Like, it's just a calendar marker on the calendar to stop and think about what's happened in the last 6 months, what we've kind of progressed into or what we've fallen away from. And it's, everyone around New Year's, we all kind of think about the same things. We think about what's happened, we think about what's coming, we think about maybe ways that we can improve or things that didn't work. So that's all that this equinox. It's a good day to look backward and think, okay, it's been half a year since the new year. What have I accomplished? What have I said yes to? What have I said no to? What have I overcome? What has beaten me into the ground? And just really good day for reflection, to look backward again, to think about what you've done and where you're going, and not to beat yourself up by any means, just as a point of information and observation. So Cancer is a water sign. So to have the sun, the brightest luminary in the sky, from our perspective, that's our outer expression. That's how we are kind of appearing or showing up in the world. And it's also a cardinal water sign. So all the signs are broken into groups: cardinal, mutable, and fixed. And the cardinal signs are the most initiatory. These are the signs that are at the beginning of seasons, so they initiate things. The fixed signs are kind of in the middle of seasons, and they hold the fort down. They're very good at holding things where they are. It's kind of a stubborn feel. And then last but not least is mutable. Mutable is kind of the ends of the seasons. It's more adaptable, it's more flexible. So Cancer is one of the initiatory signs. It's one of the cardinal ones that brings the start of something new. Having water as a cardinal sign it's just a little bit more complex. Water is a little bit slower, more reserved, more nonverbal. So to have that emotional nature met with this initiatory energy, it's like the mother blended with the warrior. It's like a very complex feel. So it's kind of compared to like a strong underwater current. Like, it's definitely there, but it's a little bit more hidden. It's a little bit more under the surface, but just as forceful. Moving things in a clear and decisive direction. So that's the kind of feel that we're going to have moving into the next month of the year. Is this there's emotional energy, but it's very direct and decisive, and it can sweep us away just like the current. So some of the more difficult parts of this placement can be neediness, resentment, secretive, moody, and suspicious. And those things we're just more likely to face them. They're part of this time of the year. So notice within yourself if your needs aren't being met, if you're feeling needy, or if you're feeling suspicious, or you're feeling secretive. And don't be afraid. Just notice if that's how you're showing up in the world, and then decide if that's how you want to continue showing up. Some of the superpowers on the opposite end of that spectrum that come along with Cancer season gives that like mama bear, like you protect what you care about kind of a feel. Caring, intuitive, faithful, sensitive. Sensitive is a word I feel like gets kind of a bad reputation, but that is where we pick up on subtleties. We pick up on things that are beneath the surface. And sometimes they can like really rock our world. And just being aware that the sensitivity is heightened this month for everybody, not just you, can make it a little bit easier to have compassion, to witness it as it's happening, and to deal with it. Let's see. So water is associated with giving, receiving, with emotion. There's a thriving on exchange of feeling. Needing security, love to be wrapped in an environment of love and comfort. That's usually at home. Cancer on the wheel is at the bottom. It would be at like 6 o'clock. And that is the most private place of the chart. That's your home. That's what happens when you close the doors and close the world out, like who you are from your nest or from your home or from where it's like very private for you. Few work harder than a Cancer. So anyone born in this month, from an employer's perspective, would be a wonderful asset to your team, because they're strong, they're sturdy, they can move things that are bigger than they are, and they're hard workers. That cardinal motivation energizes a yearning to care for others. So some of that initiatory energy is expressed through nurturing and through caring, and what your mom does or what the mother figure does. Mood swings. Cancer is ruled by the moon. So the moon, we know it waxes and it wanes. It gets full, it gets new, and it goes back and forth on the spectrum of up and down. And likewise, Cancer can kind of exhibit that same kind of mood swing, or that moodiness. And sometimes the desire to love and provide results in giving too much. So observe yourself this month, and notice where your desires are coming from. If you're wanting to feel loved and that's why you're taking action, or you're like wanting something in return. When balanced, the crab adds personal independence to their priorities. So the priorities of caring, nurturing, and kind of tending to the home, tending to the kiddos, or like whatever that looks like for you. They add this really nice just independence. Like I don't need anything back from you. It's like an unconditional love kind of a thing. Like I'm taking care of you because I want to, because I choose to, not because I want you to love me back. So that's a really nice, beautiful approach to caring for people. Let's get a little bit further down into like the positive aspects of this sign. I really don't like using positive, negative to denote the polarities, because I think it's just reality. I don't think it's good or bad. I think it is what it is. And I do think that everything has like an extreme good and an extreme bad. And we can, again, I don't like those words, but I don't know what else to use. But the goal is to get into the middle. I think when we do anything to one extreme for a sustained amount of time, we get out of balance very quickly. They are positives of Cancer: understanding nature, most positive point. So they're very understanding. They're going to sit with you and empathize with you and try to understand where you're coming from. Loving, sympathetic nature. They would most likely never go out of their way to hurt somebody. They have a tendency towards being very kind and tender, and they give what they can to others, just as a rule. They hate seeing other people suffering. They are often most concerned about the world, a deep sense of brotherhood, a deep sense of care and respect for humanitarian values. They typically mean what they say. They're honest about their feelings. They know the art of patience. When something seems difficult, they're willing to wait until the situation becomes manageable again. So lots of patience. They know how to concentrate on one thing at a time. And when the mind is made up, they generally stick to it. They love home. They love tending to their home. They love being home. They love being surrounded by things that are familiar. So whether that's like an old hometown or things from their childhood or the home that they've built and created for themselves. And it goes for people as well as things. So those things that are familiar go a long way. This is the most maternal placement in the sky. Even men, even the men that have a mother bear quality are protective. So it's not just a gender, it's not a gender thing. It's not like only the women that have birthdays in this month are maternal. And it's not that the men that are born during this month are feminine. It's just that their nurturing skill set is a little bit larger than most. They're very sensitive to the moods of others, and they have a really strong sense of tradition. So I think a Cancer mother would be fun to have, building new traditions, lots of nurturing, lots of time at home. That's the positives of Cancer. So we can all kind of expect those little themes to hopefully express out in some ways within us, that sensitivity, that caring, that nurturing, that independence in pursuing those kinds of things. Then some of the harder parts of Cancer, the more shadowy side: needy, resentful, sensitive, moody, suspicious. Because of the intensity of the water, the depth, and like the private placement, the privacy of this sign, they can find it a little bit difficult to face life sometimes. Sometimes it gets to be too much. It's like being a child lost at sea, and that current just like moves you, and there's not very much that you can do other than try to just keep your nose above the water. So it can feel like that sometimes. So just know that if you are just bebopping along through your life and you're like, oh my God, this is so hard. I can't do this. I can't feel this deeply. I need to shut it off. It's a lie. It's okay. It's okay to sit in the face of discomfort, and to just practice witnessing what you're experiencing. If it's awful, if it's terrible, name it, notice it, and welcome it in. It can't hurt you. It's only going to make you stronger. There can be like a timidness or like an exhaustion when things aren't going well. The uncultivated Cancerian, so the person that has maybe too much of this in one regard, is likely to be a little bit more lazy or lacking ambition, or difficult tasks will be left undone because the emotion is just so loud. Think about that. Water, it's deep, it's feeling, it's not solid. It's not like something that you can pick up and move, like you need a vessel. Compared to fire burns in a direct line. Like it's not like it goes up to the stop sign, turns right. It goes. Air just goes. Earth is steady and solid. So with these people that have a lot of the water, that have this depth of emotion, when things feel difficult or like they're not going well, that emotion can well up and like shut them down. So that would be why that they're leaving tasks undone, that they're lacking initiative. If you notice it in yourself or anyone that you care about, let's sit down and examine that. What's going on? Like, is the feeling too much? Are you dissociating? Are you just shutting everything down so you don't have to feel uncomfortable, only to like tap back in later? Like, that's not an effective way to deal with what's going on either. They crawl into their shell to nurse their wound. So if you're feeling hurt, if you're feeling rejected, if you're feeling unseen, unheard, uncared for, more likely to go a little bit reclusive this season. So if you notice that again within yourself or any of your loved ones, just be as supportive as you can. Be curious, listen, what's going on? What are you feeling? Yeah. And then they can be overly sensitive. Those mood swings can go to the extreme. They could be hard to manage. So that's Cancer season. That is what we are all moving through as we go through the next month into July. So witness yourself, notice yourself. How do you feel? A lot of times when the sun is in a water sign, I feel like weird, like I'm moving through water, like especially when it's always Pisces, I swear. Maybe it's the time of the year, that March April time or February, March time. I don't know, but I always feel like things just move a little bit slower. It's like people are talking to you underwater. It's like hard to make sense of things. But it's really creative. It's a really lovey-dovey time. It's a good time to do things at home. It's a good time to do things for your family, for your loved ones. Nurture with food, nurture with healing teas and roots, and like some of those hearty dishes that require a lot of stuff from the earth, sweet potatoes and like leafy greens, and use the building blocks, like the substantial parts of the natural world to nurture your body. I just think that's the most caring thing that you can do for yourself or for anybody that you care about. Share any experiences you have with this as you meet them. I'd love to hear about them. I'd love to hear about your people with Cancer birthdays. And just, yeah, have a lovely Cancer season.